Hello everyone, welcome once again to the vast and ominous comic book vault. I'm Captain Logan, and it's time for new acquisitions again. We've got 6 brand new books this week. 3 of them are Batman, 2 of them are about the Joker, and they're all really quite fabulous. We're going to do those at the end. Right now, let's do some Marvel stuff, starting with All New X-Men #1. Part of Marvel Now, this is Brian Michael Bendis writing X-Men and bringing the 5 original X-Men from the past to the present. Now, that is kind of the big giant reveal at the end, but you can see them on the cover, and it's been solicited that way, so I don't feel like I'm giving anything away by saying that. This is a really great book. I loved everything about this. I don't know if everybody's going to, but I really liked this. This is Bendis at his best. He's really on his game here, and I haven't read Bendis on X-Men, really. I didn't know what he would be like. I didn't know what kind of voices he would have for these characters. I love his Beast. I love his Cyclops post Avengers vs. X-Men. I really like all of the mutant world conflict stuff going on here. That's about all of the, again, post AVX stuff. And you've got Cyclops here trying to atone for all of his sins. And I didn't go ahead and read all of that 5-issue miniseries post AVX, the AVX consequences thing, which I'm assuming probably has the explanation in it about how Cyclops gets out of prison and starts his team of X-Men. I don't know if that's where that is or not. I've not read it, so I went from the beginning of that, where he was just getting kind of beaten up by thugs in jail, to this, where now he's out and he's got his own X-Men team consisting of him and Magneto and Emma Frost. And kind of the people running from the law after the whole Phoenix 5 thing. And it works really well. You've got this idea that comes from Iceman, that maybe if they could get Cyclops' younger self to talk to his older self, he would slap him around a bit and tell him how crazy he's being. And I do kind of question Iceman just suddenly being important in the present, given that he had, 2 seconds of panel time in AVX, just to kind of make that mention of, him being one of the original X-Men, if I remember right. I think that was kind of the point of his appearance there. And here, he kind of sort of does the same thing, and he's like, just to remind everybody, I'm one of the original X-Men, and I knew Cyclops before he was so close to Magneto's philosophy. What I like about this is that you get the sense that other characters, that other X-Men had that at points too, and fair enough, I mean, they're fighting for human beings who, as cliched as it sounds now, hate and fear them. And we get this scene at the end where we get to see a brief kind of falling out between Beast and the other members of the X-Men in the past, where he's starting to think maybe Magneto's way is better because he's sick of humans hating him. And I really like this idea that other original members of the X-Men have felt this way before too. It's not just Cyclops, and that really adds some dimension to this. What I also really like is that when Iceman says, if only the old Scott could talk to the new Scott, for a minute there I thought it was kind of hyperbole. I thought it was just going to be like kind of foreshadowing something that was kind of obvious from the cover, and I didn't really care for that. And then it turns out that it isn't. He's not just saying that. He uses it as an idea, and he and Beast and Storm and the others go for it. I like Storm in this a lot. She's like, we can't just go after Cyclops because we don't want to start a mutant civil war, but something has to be done about it. Now, what I am really hoping is that we don't get this kind of thing where they just come to the present and they help out, but there's no explanation as to why there's no change in the timeline. Especially because they're at the end of this is a little bit of talk of what they're doing is dangerous. So since Bendis planted that, I think that we can be fairly certain that he's going to find a way to make that make sense. And I also like how this is a little bit reminiscent of Days of Future Past. past. It's kind of like, we've got to go back to the past to save our crazy present. It's not so far-fetched to do this. And at first I was like, really? It's going to be the original 5 X-Men from the past coming to the present? But there's precedent for this in X-Men continuity, and it's not any more crazy and insane and soap opera-ish than anything else. Anyway, I hope I didn't give away too much in this issue. I feel like a lot of this was kind of already spelled out for us just by looking at the cover. But I really highly recommend this. I think it's a great first issue, and I'm hoping it keeps going in the direction that it feels like it is. If you really liked Avengers vs. X-Men, I think you would really, really like this. And I just think that Bendis is doing a fantastic job with it, and I really like Stuart Amonen's art. So anyway, big recommendation for me on All New X-Men, and I will continue on that book, and I will be reviewing that one. Next up, Venom number 27, Minimum Carnage, Part 5. Boy, I'm enjoying this, and this issue, Bunn does. I think this is his best work on Venom so far. He does a fantastic job of giving Venom, of giving Flash Thompson rather, a lot of like personal connection to this crazy weird over the top stuff going on in the microverse, where there's this fascinating notion that Venom has been poked and prodded and messed with so much by the government that he's barely the same alien symbiote that he used to be. That, like, yeah, he's still a symbiote, and you can still control him, you can still make him do crazy symbiote things, but he doesn't have the personality he used to have, and Carnage is pure. He's total 100% symbiote. And so what happens in this is, as we saw in the cliffhanger of Part 4, there are these extra symbiotes that are these clone symbiotes that are being created as hybrids of the Venom and Carnage symbiote. That the big bad guy in this, I forget his name, but the godlike guy in the microverse who's wanting to I thought just take over the microverse. Now we find out that he's trying to destroy it and then recreate it in his own image. And then the reason that we care about this is that he's then going to also come out and try to do the same thing to the Macroverse, which of course is the place that we all live in. And so Carnage is able to control them, and it's because he's pure symbiote and Venom isn't. And in order to try to solve this, Flash Thompson has to really look within himself and drudge up all of his dark past again, and that's all I'm going to say. But boy, Bunn has a really great voice for this, and I would almost go as far as to say that it fits so well with what Remender was doing that it feels like Remender. I mean, like, Bunn definitely has his own voice for Venom. It's not just that he's like doing a Remender, if that makes any sense. But I'm just saying that he's finding a voice for this character that I think much more so than he did in his first arc on this, and I love it. This is great. So once again, big recommendation for this one. This is a great week for comics. Next up, Star Trek Doctor Who number 7. Once again, this is just a little bit too slow for me. I'm not loving it. I kind of liked this issue better than some of the others just because there's not as much standing around and talking, and they finally develop a plan, and they finally go after the Cybermen, and they're basically, the idea is that the Doctor and Picard are trying to, or rather, the Doctor Who Doctor, and Picard are going to the Cybermen ship and trying to awaken the Borg, so that, because the Borg are dormant right now, in order to try to get the Borg to help them to destroy the Cybermen. And they finally go there, and they start doing things. The Doctor is finally a lot more fun in this particular issue. He's kind of found his comedic voice again, and he's got some very Doctor moments, like when he refuses to use phasers because he doesn't like guns and things like that. So I really appreciated that. There is this odd moment though where like everybody's, and this is just a minor nitpick, but it's weird, where Worf gives everybody phaser rifles like they had in First Contact, and of course, this is kind of a pre First Contact story, so it's like it's not the first time we see them actually, because they're in TNG. But anyway, they're those rifles, and he finally convinces the Doctor to carry one, and I'm not sure what I think about that, but anyway, he doesn't give him a rifle though. He gives him just like a regular hand phaser, and says that these are modulated at the same frequency as the phaser rifles. Okay, if that's the case, then why are they all walking around with these hefty, clunky phaser rifles if they could just use hand phasers? Anyway, that was kind of strange. But anyway, this is tonally and paced the same as the rest of it, but at least there's a little bit more levity here, and the Doctor's more fun to watch. Okay, now for my 3 Batman books. Here's Batman number 14, Death of the Family, and I really want to read more of the Death of the Family books around this. It's seeming very much like you can just read Snyder's issues and probably keep up with what's going on, which I really appreciate. That's what it seems like so far. But I gotta tell you, I saw the cover for the Batgirl issue for this week and really thought about getting it, and I just had too many things to buy, and I decided against it. Maybe later. I also want to mention, I'm sorry, before I really get to this, because that reminds me, that I also thought about getting Thor God of Thunder #1. I've had a lot of glowing recommendations for that book, and people really wanting to see me review it, and I'm sorry that I didn't buy it this week, but I had a lot of extra stuff, including a $7 one-shot that I'll get to in a minute that I didn't realize I was going to have to get this week. So I am thinking about, if I have extra room on the pool next week, I'll go ahead and get that. Anyway, Batman number 14. So basically what we have here is the Joker finally starting his big plan to take out all of the Batman family, and he starts with Alfred, which is just absolutely terrifying, both for Bruce Wayne and for the reader, I think. And I really like how Batman is having a very difficult time keeping a level head through all of this. And I think Snyder has him do very, very Batman things. And there's this moment with Dick Grayson where he keeps talking in code because he's just trying really hard not to take this personally. But it's Alfred, and it's the Joker, and he's having a really difficult time. This has really stepped things up from Court of Owls, where he was in that maze and he was almost broken, and yet it feels like this is even harder for him on more of a personal sort of level. He basically we've got the Joker trying to get Batman to go to the first place that they ever fought face to face. And it's this bridge, and he's echoing, from the first issue of this, we know that he's echoing all of his past crimes. And Batman goes there, and I don't even want to give away anything else. But anyway, it's great. And I really like the way that he kind of does the same plot, but it's a little bit different. It's turned around some, and I don't know. I don't see any reason to really belabor this. It's just wonderful, and I think everybody should be reading it. I love the mystery of just why exactly the Joker is the way he is right now, and it's weird to think. I almost said the Joker's gone off the deep end. The Joker's already crazy, but for the Joker, he's gone off the deep end, and Harley Quinn doesn't recognize him anymore, and anyway, it's really interesting, and it feels very fresh, and it feels like a Joker story that's not been told before. So I highly recommend that. Batman Arkham Unhinged #8. Here we get the past of Killer Croc, at least in the Arkham City universe, and I thought that it was really interesting and that it made a lot of sense. Derek Friedolfs does a great job of drawing this parallel between Killer Croc and I forget his name, but one of the two twin clowns that lost his arm, and both of them were brought up in different kind of circuses, and they have kind of a moment where they almost get in a big fight, and then they realize that they're kind of similar, and that they have that they're sort of kindred spirits, and it's not, and they're careful not to get touchy-feely about it, and it's kind of a comedic moment in the middle of a book that is and kind of a little bit heartfelt, but it's also in the middle of a book that's pretty violent and shows Killer Croc eating people. One thing I wondered about this is that Killer Croc in this is, and I don't know what his current backstory is supposed to be in regular comic book continuity or pre-52, or because I don't know even what it is right now, but here he's like basically just a deformed guy. Like I know that sometimes he's characterized as a guy with a skin condition. Here, it's almost like it's that, except that he looks like a lizard, even though he was born of a human. I'm not entirely sure if that makes a lot of sense. I don't know why he's got scales and looks totally lizardy when he's basically just kind of mutated and was born that way. Although you do get the sense that that as he grew up, he grew more of these features, and that as a child he looked a little bit more like he was just a skin thing, and then as he got older, he got more gruesome. But anyway, it's this kind of background where he started as just he never knew his parents, and his aunt raised him, but she hated him, and it's kind of the standard abuse sort of thing. But then it quickly turns into something else, and I don't know. I think it's quite good, and I've been liking the series overall. And then finally, I got the Batman Arkham City one shot because I've been collecting Arkham City, and I couldn't not pick this up, even though there were other things I kind of wanted to pick up this week too that I ended up not getting. This is Arkham City Endgame, and this I gotta say, if you loved Arkham City, if you played it and you really liked it, I think you really need to pick this up, because this is the aftermath of Arkham City. This is not a prequel. This is things that happen after Arkham City that, as far as I know, aren't even given to us in the Harley Quinn's Revenge add-on thing that takes place after it also. I've not played that, but I'm pretty sure this stuff's not in there. Because all of this has been like extra story that we didn't get in those, but it hasn't felt completely unnecessary, and this feels very necessary. This is, I'm going to go this far, this is one of the best Joker stories I've read in a long time. I'm not 100% sure about the ending and how Batman, well, where Batman is left at the end of this, because I really don't want to give anything away about this. I'm going to be very cryptic about this. This book is about how Joker's tentacles continue to spread after he dies. Of course, if you played Arkham City, you know that the Joker dies in it, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling that for anybody that didn't already know that a year after the game came out, but I can't say anything about this book without saying that. The Joker dies at the end of Arkham City, and Friedolfs immediately goes to a very smart place by having everybody terrified of the death of the Joker. And as I was reading the first couple pages, I found myself thinking, shouldn't people be overjoyed that finally the Joker is gone and that people can be more at peace? But Commissioner Gordon is afraid of what the underworld's going to do now that the Joker's died, and he's afraid of the backlash that will come from from criminals that were associated with the Joker and those sorts of things. And he has every reason to worry about that, because the Joker's plans are never what they seem. And considering that the Joker was always this character that would often, famously get imprisoned in Arkham Asylum, but he meant to do that, what would happen if he died? Would he have plans that go beyond his death? And in fact, he does. And he basically, the idea is that the Joker always had the idea that he and Batman were completely intertwined, and that you couldn't have one without the other. And he was fixated on this idea. It was like the most important thing to him. So if he dies, Batman has to also die, and that's what his plan's about. That's all I'm going to say. I may have given away too much already. Even if you didn't play Arkham City, I really think if you like Joker stories, you'd like this one. Anyway, I'm going to recommend this and not review it further. Please do yourself a favor and buy this book if you love Batman, especially if you love good Joker stories. I hope I'm not overselling it. I think it's wonderful. I think it was absolutely worth the $7 that I paid for it. And somebody needs to give Derek Friedolfs his own in-continuity Batman book. He's absolutely fantastic for Batman. Everybody, thanks very much for watching New Acquisitions, for watching the Comic Book Vault. Hope you enjoyed it. And if there's anything you'd like me to review on the Vault later on, something that you have laying around that you don't want anymore, or something you want to loan to me, you can always send me things to the Comic Book Vault. That's our P.O. Box, Geekvolution, P.O. Box 14183, Lenexa, Kansas 66285. I'm Captain Logan, and happy reading.